Guys, punch up the latest shot of Andrew, the satellite picture that we have there. This is the latest picture of Andrew. You can still see the well-defined eye. The latest advisory, the interim advisory, still showing winds at 140 miles per hour, moving to the west at 18 miles per hour. Bob?
It has put itself together very rapidly, which just indicates that this has been a tenacious storm. It came across for a long time. It had been falling apart, came across the west coast. The eye wobbled across into the Gulf, but now it looks, I'll tell you the truth, it looks better now than it did when it actually came across from the other side. And now it's trapped in an area, and I would imagine anywhere from Alabama down through Texas, they have to be watching right now, because it's got to take a turn somewhat more to the north as it comes around the backside of that pressure system and begins to move up. It can't escape, and someone else is going to get the second shot from Andrew.
Okay, a hurricane watch is in effect for the northern Gulf Coast from Mobile, Alabama to Sabine Pass, Texas. All other warnings have been discontinued. I missed that. I'm sorry about that.
Well, I understand there are folks from Homestead who have been calling. They want to know where to get help, and we are going to give them that information very, very shortly. In the meantime, we have Tom back with us, and we will get a lot of that across to some of the folks who I know at this point are extremely anxious. You can't blame them, and we will try to do whatever we can as fast as we can to try to answer all of your questions and try to help you get help.
And in fact, what I've been doing is conferring with one of our producers. We had a question a little bit earlier from a gentleman in Perrine, not in Perrine, but he wanted to know about Perrine and what's going on there. Well, perhaps these pictures are going to tell the story. We have some pictures that are just back from Perrine, where the National Guardsmen arrived at a house. Inside that house was one of the victims of Hurricane Andrew, killed when the roof caved in.
Okay. We need to get to Cutler Ridge now.
We can go to US 1, but it'll be too crowded, sir. We'll never make it. We go to the next lane, make the left. We'll be there.
Air Rescue had also arrived on the scene, but it was too late from what we understand. Meanwhile, not far in the same neighborhood of Perrine, two school buses apparently blown hundreds of feet by the strong winds and nearly crashed through a home, from what we're told. Instead, the bus landed upside just a few feet away.
It was parked over on the church ground over there, and the wind picked it up and brought it over here in the yard.
Just some of the devastation in Perrine. A gentleman was asking about that, who called about 10, 15 minutes ago. And just as you said, Brian Allen, that you feared, you know, the pictures would be the same. The devastation, the twisted metal, roofs blown off homes. You see buses tossed about like toy cars. It's a mess out there.
It is absolutely a mess.
We have some hotline numbers, I think, that we want to show right now. Emergency hotlines for Dade County, 596-8735. For Broward County, 357-8454. And for Monroe, 1-800-427-8340. We've been showing this regularly, and I certainly hope you have written them down, but we keep repeating them just in case you haven't. We want you to have these numbers, and please use them.
Also, another number right here, a very important number, especially those people affected so dramatically by Hurricane Andrew. Insurance claims. If you've got insurance claims, or you know you're going to have insurance claim, the number on your screen, 1-800-528-7094. I want to stress this. It's very important. That hotline number will not do you any good today. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, you can start calling that number. Don't call it until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, but write it down if you have a pen and paper handy.
Well, I'm sure that we'll be giving you that number so many times that it's going to be memorized. That right now is going to be one of the most important numbers that come tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock that people can have.
You know what I'd like to find out? I'd like to find out how many phones and you know, a lot of people are going to call that number. In fact, thousands may be calling that number. I wonder how they're going to handle that.
You know what? We may be able to I was just thinking we could possibly ask Governor McKay, or Lieutenant Governor McKay, but this was coming from Commissioner Gallagher, so therefore maybe we can try to get a hold of him later on this evening, because we did lose the phone line with him, and maybe he can give us an idea. I'm sure they're going to have plenty of phone lines in place, because I'm sure that they're ready for the tremendous number of phone calls that they're going to be receiving.
I've just been told something very interesting, and it's quite disturbing. My producer, Yvette Miley, tells me that we're getting calls from people who live in the Homestead area who tell us that, amazingly, they haven't seen any rescue personnel whatsoever all day. All day, no rescue personnel. Those are the calls that we're getting into the newsroom right now. I don't know if we can confirm that, but we are getting calls into our newsroom that say they're not getting the help that they need in Homestead right now.
Well, I can't believe that, because I know that, first of all, the city of Homestead is a terrific place. They have really good police. They have good fire. They have good everything down there.
Is it conceivable, though, that the damage is so widespread and there's so many homes and businesses damaged that simply they just have not been reached?
Well,
at this point?
you certainly have to realize that with all the damage that is done, and you know, you take a city has no way of coping with everything that has gone on right now. It would be impossible. It would take the federal government to cope with a situation like that.
I need to change the subject here for just 1 second, because this is somewhat important. At 5 p.m. today, the city of Miami Beach will open access to city residents and business owners only. Anyone wishing access back to their home or business on Miami Beach will be required to provide positive identification in order to obtain access across the MacArthur, Venetian, the Julia Tuttle, or the 79th Street causeways. Now, police will be posted at the entrance to the causeways on the mainland, and they will turn back anyone without positive identification. Anyone returning to Miami Beach should expect that there will be no water service. They should also expect numerous power outages and downed trees, limbs, power lines, and again, more debris. And to remind you, the Dade County curfew is in effect at 7. At that time, you're going to have 2 hours. No additional residents will be admitted into the city.
Another piece of information just been told. Homestead officials apparently are telling us to call for public employees to come into work. They're asking us to disseminate this information. They want all public employees in Homestead to report to work. Apparently, they need the manpower. Obviously, after seeing some of the pictures that we just saw, you know, you don't have to wonder why, but all public employees in Homestead are being asked to report to work. That word just into the Channel 4 newsroom. Also this, Beverly White has spent the day, she's put together a report for us. She spent the day on both ends of Dade County, so let's take a look at what she found today.
This German Shepherd puppy named Blackie is one lucky dog. His owner, Pedro Garcia, checked him into a neighborhood kennel to ride out the rough weather. And Garcia happened to be in the area shortly after the rough weather slammed into Blackie's temporary home. You put your dog in the kennel for safekeeping?
For safekeeping.
And then what happened?
And the whole roof collapsed of the shopping center, you know. Yeah, the whole roof. And there's a lot of buildings like this, you know, around there.
The same storm system that wiped out Blackie's kennel also destroyed his owner's home and wreaked havoc all over southwest Dade County. Surprisingly, damage in North Dade was limited to downed power lines and uprooted trees. Residents there say Andrew made an impression on them, too.
I looked through the window, but I didn't come out at night because I thought I had like a lot of damage on the fence, but it was just like busted open. So I can kind of repair this myself. I got a lot of down power lines right here. Watch those. In the trees.
I had just gotten out of the in bedroom and moved to an inner bedroom. And then I heard the boom.
In some places, Andrew's wrath was more apparent than in others. Here at a strip mall at Southwest 184th Street, the hurricane tore the roof off the building, leaving thousands of dollars worth of merchandise exposed to the elements and to looters. Even though the hurricane wiped out plenty of real estate in Southwest Dade, we found one woman who lost her home but was still able to put it all in perspective.
What are you going to do, you know? I mean, it's like everything. I lived there all my life. I was born there. I mean, it's like pictures came off the wall, portraits, family pictures. Everything is just, you know, nothing. All the couch is in the pool.
For the record, Smallwood admits she has homeowner's insurance, but she's especially pleased to have survived the big one with her family, if not her home, intact. In Southwest Dade, Beverly White, Channel 4 News.
Incredible pictures, and welcome back, everybody, to our continuous coverage of the aftermath of Hurricane Andrew. I'm Teresa Rodriguez, sitting in for Tom Randalls, who's taking a break, and Bob Weber is back with us. Brian Allen is also taking a few minutes off.
We've been seeing some very unbelievable things.
Devastating.
We talked to the insurance commissioner and the lieutenant governor, and things are working very, very rapidly to try to ease the situation. But as you know, the devastation is so widespread and so intense that it's not going to be an easy thing, and it's not going to happen overnight. And I know in a situation like this, folks are really extremely impatient, and no one can blame them. But it does take a little time to get all of this together.
We're trying to disseminate the information as best we can. And these are some of the first pictures that you're seeing now. It's the first time that we're seeing them as well. Now we have a chopper out, and they are trying to refuel now so they can take us back out over some other areas so that we can get a first-hand look as to what kind of damage Hurricane Andrew did. We were able to fly over Cutler Ridge, the Homestead area, and if we have that video ready, I'd like to be able to show folks at home, those that may just be tuning in, so that they can get a feel for exactly what kind of destruction. Okay, we're trying to get that for you. Also, I'd like to mention, because we saw parts of Homestead that were devastated, and we do have a note here that the Homestead City Manager, Alex Musso, is requesting that all City of Homestead employees report to the Homestead City Hall immediately. We were getting calls from folks out in that area saying that they had yet to see any rescue crews or workers there trying to...
You know, we just talked about that. You see, one of the problems is that this damage is so intense and so widespread that it's difficult for a city to try to get to every single location. I'm sure they're working on it. I'm sure somebody will get there as soon as possible. I might mention here that the Kendall Regional Medical Center is asking all of its medical personnel to report immediately to the hospital. So things are really rolling, getting underway. The medical personnel will be there. Of course, you know, the National Guard is out.
They're out there. And in fact, Bob, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm told we do have that footage. So maybe if we go to the footage now, and these are aerials shot from Sky 4, photographer Rob Pierce, who is accompanied by Lieutenant Governor Buddy McKay as they watch the area. Now, if someone in the control room can tell me exactly what this is that we're looking at, what area specifically, do we know? I know that it's Southdale. We don't know exactly if it's a city of Homestead or Cutler Ridge, but you can see the devastation. Are those trailer homes that...
Yeah, we talked about earlier, it was in, I think, about a 20-mile radius, and that was about the shape of the distance of the eye. And that was where the most destruction occurred. And you can see it wasn't destruction. I mean, that's a mild word for it. Things were absolutely and positively demolished. There were little left of many, many homes. There was little left of many other structures, and we saw, for example, buses that were turned over, and it was just a horrible thing.
And huge buildings. I mean, we saw the Toys R Us down there, Southwest State, and the big hotel, some hotels.
They were all in the path of not only the most destructive winds, but a lot of that area was also in the path of a portion of the storm surge. And so that's why that destruction is so intense as compared to other areas where they got a lot of the wind damage, the trees over and things like that, and not too much destruction, you know, to the structures. We have a wonderful building code down here, probably one of the best anywhere. But this was such an intense storm, it went above the building code.
The building code is what, 120 mile per hour
120, 125 miles per hour, something like that. This came in at 130 or 40 miles an hour. But not only that, it's lucky those folks we asked to evacuate did evacuate.
And those mobile homes we saw there, I mean, this is one reason why if you live in a mobile home park, you have to get out, folks. You just can't wait. You've got to get out, get to a shelter, and we're hoping that a lot of folks in that area did that, because so far we can tell you that the death toll now stands at 12. And we hope it doesn't rise too much more, but after looking at some of these pictures, boy, I don't know.
Yesterday, I was saying at one time when we couldn't get much information in that how wonderful it was at that point that we had no report of any injuries, we had no report of any deaths, but today that picture has changed.
Absolutely.
The reports started coming in, the communications are getting a little bit better now, so we're going to have a lot more information for you, and we'll give it to you just as soon as we get it.
No, so we should mention that there is a curfew beginning at 7 o'clock this evening. All of Dade County is in a curfew that begins at 7 p.m. this evening, and it runs till 7 a.m., and it's for your own good. I mean, Dade County is trying to get a lot of crews out there now, emergency crews, FP&L vehicles, trying to clean the streets and get those power lines off the road. There are so many power lines. When I was driving in south, heading downtown on Dixie, I mean, they were down. Almost every major intersection had some power lines down.
Well, a lot of people may not realize that even though the sun may come out and you're going to be out there, it's still cloudy out there, and it's still a little breezy in a lot of locations, and there's still some showers around. But if you've been cooped up, your first tendency is to open the door and get out there, but you have to be extra careful. Those power lines have not been attended to. Not yet. There are thousands and thousands of power lines that must be attended to, so in your particular area, they may not have gotten to it yet. Please don't let the children go out and run around and do whatever they want to do. It's dangerous. Just wait a while, and pretty soon we have a number for you for a down power line. Do we have that so we can show the folks? We'll get to it anyway and show you the number to call if you see one.
Yeah, they're looking for it. We have got so many numbers. There it is now.
It's for down power lines. You call Florida Power and Light. The number is 442-8770, and they will try to attend to it as soon as possible.
Also, I'd like to let folks know we have just been told that the governor, Governor Lawton Chiles, will be speaking to us at 4:30. He will be addressing folks at Opelika Airport on the damages, and we will be bringing that to you live as it happens again. That's at 4:30 this afternoon. Now, I've just been handed this note. The Red Cross continues to look for volunteers who are not afraid to go out into the damaged areas and assess the level of damage. Now, you must have your own vehicle. In Dade, there it is on your screen. The number is 324-2501. In Broward, you should call 749-5900. Again, the Red Cross looking for volunteers, and you must have your own transportation.
A little while before you arrived, we were talking to the Lieutenant Governor and the Insurance Commissioner, and a lot of folks are also anxious, you know, when are we going to get this help? We need help immediately. We need our insurance taken care of, and they assured us that it will be as rapid as humanly possible, that the President has already approved, from what I understand, the money. It's now up to insurance companies, local authorities, and the state government to get together, and they're going to push this as rapidly as they possibly can to make everyone more comfortable and help them get money to rebuild.
Absolutely, Bob. I mean, you look at the pictures, and this is the first time that perhaps not only us, but some of these folks are looking at these and actually being able to assess how devastating a hurricane that was. We saw something on the wires earlier. It was the most powerful storm to hit this area since 1926. I know you don't like to usually give titles.
No, but you see, there's also, don't forget this, in 1926, that was a devastating storm, but the communication was not what it is today. And here, if you take a storm that's as devastating as that, and you still have all the great communications, you could tell what kind of a storm this was. It really, in that one small area, racked up perhaps you might call billions of dollars worth of damage. And then as you go to the north, even though they were not in the around the eye wall, you could just drive anywhere and you'll find streets are clogged up because huge trees. I mean, I'm not talking about little trees. I'm talking about a tree that if you wanted to knock it down, you'd have to take a chain, put it on a Mack truck, and try to give it all you can. Still may not get it down. And there you see them toppled over.
Oh, we had one across the street. It must have been, I don't know, 50, 100 years old, a huge ficus tree, and it was uprooted. It actually looked more as if an earthquake had hit the area than a hurricane. And I'm a veteran as far as hurricanes. I mean, I've lived here all my life. I've been through Betsy, through some of the worst, but this was something else.
We talk about a lot of times, and people say the same thing to me about being a veteran of hurricanes, but there's no, I mean, it's every single one is just another new experience.
Okay, Bob, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm being told that we're going to go to Jerry Helfman live. She is at the Opelika Airport live with Senator Graham. Jerry?
That's right, Teresa. Senator Graham just returned from a helicopter trip over South Dade County. How can you describe what you saw, Senator?
Jerry, it was like a a war zone. I've never seen such extensive and intensive damage. It'd be neighborhoods of maybe 200 or 300 homes. 90% of them would be uninhabitable today.
You're from this area, Senator. You've seen hurricanes before. How do they compare to this?
I think I've been to every natural disaster in Florida since 1979, floods, fires, hurricanes. This is the most serious situation that I've seen, the one that is down there today in Homestead, Florida City. The area is just north of there.
Well, having seen it all, and certainly no matter these strikes, you have compassion for anyone involved, but when it's your hometown, is it different?
You pass places that you saw just a few weeks ago. I've been going down to the Keys a lot lately, and I have been driving US 1 through Homestead, and to see a little store that you had stopped at in July, now leveled, really gives it an emotional impact.
What is the federal government going to be able to do to help South Florida?
Well, everything that it can do. I'm very pleased the president is coming today. That indicates his personal concern. He's going to get a first-hand view of how serious the situation is. That's going to help expedite the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Department of Defense, as well as other federal agencies that can be of assistance.
What will the president do? Now, we know he's coming here just to see firsthand the damage. Why is he coming here?
I think he's coming here in order to personally be informed as to what has happened and to take some hands-on control of the federal government's response to this emergency.
Did you see people when you were up in the air over these areas, or just mostly buildings and devastation?
We were flying at about 200 feet, so you could see people out in their backyards. Some of them waved, some of them sort of gave a statement of despair with the way in which they were having to face this terrible tragedy.
The lieutenant governor is up in a helicopter right now with one of our photographers, and I heard him say that based on the number of casualties, that it's an indication of how prepared we were. Would you say that's true?
I'd say if we could get through this situation with, as of this morning, only 2 casualties, that is a tremendous testimony to not only how well we were prepared for this, but how well people responded. There were, what, almost 700,000 folks that went into shelters last night, probably saved a lot of lives.
Governor, thanks very much. Senator. Governor Lawton Chiles, thanks for joining us. Have you been up in the... I know, it's very confusing. All the formers. Listen, you've been up in the air, have you not?
Yeah.
How would you describe what you've seen?
It's devastating. I've never seen anything like what we saw over, Cutler Ridge South, Homestead, Florida City. Yet Miami Beach looks remarkably, unscathed for the kind of hurricane.
Except for the vegetation and that.
Sure, some sand and things like that.
The senator was telling us some things the federal government can do to help. What's the state of Florida doing, and what's the state of Florida going to do?
Well, we have a National Guard presence here. We have a lot more coming. We've moved a lot of law enforcement people from all over the state that will be coming in to help with the curfew tonight. We're coordinating everything, of course, from our center with the federal government to get the medical personnel here, moving Air Guard around to move people out of hospitals. Now we'll have to take them back as soon as we can. So, we've got an awful lot of people that have been working for 2 or 3 days on this thing.
How long is the National Guard going to be here, and are there more troops available should we need them?
They're going to be here as long as we need them, and as many troops as we need we'll get. And if we don't have enough, the Second Army is, going to give us active duty troops.
Like the senator, I'm sure you've seen many disasters as well. How long is it going to take South Florida to return to some state of normalcy, do you think?
Well, probably less than I would try to estimate now, because somehow they're, remarkable what people do. There are a lot of people that have been, lost everything, I think, and they're going to need an awful lot of help. I think also I want to say, how much we appreciate the work that everybody did, from the planning to everything else, because looking and seeing the damage, it looks like it's remarkable that with the few injuries that we have, although we know we'll probably discover some more, an awful lot of people have been working their head off. I still hope people will listen to what the emergency people are telling them. It's very, very important now that we don't lose or hurt somebody else. Power lines and the helicopter trip, I could smell all kind of gas so we know a lot of gas mains are broken, a lot of power lines are down. It's not a time to go wandering around.
Exactly. Governor Teresa Rodriguez is on our news desk, and she has a question for you. Teresa,
yes, Jerry, thank you, Governor Lawton Charles, for joining us. Jerry, I guess
Teresa,
you will...
he can't hear you.
I know. You will have to, yes, you will have to let him know what we have. We are getting, Jerry, let him know, a lot of calls from viewers in the South Dade area that are complaining about the lack of emergency response teams. In fact, we have someone on the line now from Kendall, and what I'd like to do, Jerry, let's listen to what she has to say, what complaints she has. You can relay this to the governor and see how they plan to deal with this kind of thing, okay?
Governor Teresa is telling me that we are getting a lot of phone calls from people in South Dade who are complaining about the lack of emergency personnel.
Okay, Anna?
Yes?
Anna, if you can tell me, what is your complaint? What are you saying out there, or what are you not saying, I should say?
Okay, what I am not seeing is no emergency vehicles, not police, not rescue, not fire rescue, not firemen. I mean, it's devastating. And there's a lot of people walking around and trying to pick up their stuff, but I see a lot of destruction, and there isn't any help out there.
Where are you located exactly?
Well, I live
in
on
Kendall?
On Sunset Drive and 127th Avenue. Or at least what's left of it.
All right, Anna, if you hold on, we'll try to get some this question replied by the governor himself. Jerry, were you able to listen to Anna and what she had to say?
I was listening. I don't know if the governor heard the whole conversation. There's a helicopter landing right behind us. As I said to you, a lot of calls from South Dade, people explaining that there's not emergency personnel out there. Are you aware of anything like that?
Well, we've got an awful lot of places they're trying to cover. We have 3 battalions of National Guard that are on their way here. Right now, they're having trouble getting down the highway because other cars are coming back. We've got the highway patrol out trying to cut a swath so we can get them in. We have an airlift of some emergency personnel that are coming from federal personnel. We have, we've got a lot of people en route. We're trying to get them here as fast as we can. This is why it would help if a lot of people that don't have to go out on the road would not be out there now to let us get those people.
And don't risk further injury. People, in other words, the personnel are on their way. They just have an awful lot of ground to cover. And now we're trying to assess, Governor, I know you're having a 4:30 press conference out here. Is there any new ground you're going to cover that we haven't covered already? We're trying to determine if we need to stay with you for that 4:30 press conference.
You shouldn't miss being with me anytime.
All right, Jerry. I don't want to miss anything, but what are you going to talk about at 4:30?
We're going to talk about what we've seen and what we know up to date.
Okay, so the big concern of the people is the lack of emergency personnel, and you're here to tell them that the people are on their way.
And we have a lot of people here now. It's just that there's so many places that they have to be. But just, this is a time that some people have to be patient a little bit. We're working as hard as we can. We have a lot more people. If we can get them here, and they'll be here soon.
Okay, one more question, Governor. That when the president comes, he's going to declare a disaster area or something?
He's already declared, signed the declaration for a disaster.
All right, thank you very much for your time. You'll carry on with your press conference, and we'll be listening in, Governor.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Governor.
We'll take this. Teresa, anything else you'd like to ask?
Well, Jerry, I was just asking Bob Weaver here. I said, we're getting a lot of these phone calls about folks who are saying, we're out here, we have yet to see one police car, one ambulance, rescue units. A lot of these folks may have been taking care of their own problems or may not even know that the city needs them again.
This is what we talked about earlier, and it's just what the governor said. The devastation is so widespread and so unbelievable. I don't think anybody realized how bad it was until it was over. And right now, as he said, help is on the way. It just has to get here because there's, even though there's terrible devastation here en route, there are trees down, there are vehicles in the way, but help is coming and will be there.
That's exactly what the governor said. I mean, if you've been out at all, just even outside of your front door, you can see the devastation on your one road alone, and just consider the evacuation area that covered 800,000 people. Now, whether or not all those people evacuated is one thing, but certainly there is just a countless number of emergencies, and so the governor is just, as much as he can do, he wants to assure people to be patient, that if you need help, help is on the way. It may take some time because of the incredible devastation out there, but he assures us that help is on the way.
Jerry, you know what I'm worried about also? All those people who have a problem down there. How are they getting food?
Well, just like everyone else, Bob, you know, I guess this is the time when we have to help one another. You know, we've been telling people for days to stock up, and in the hours and days before Andrew got here, we were showing people packing grocery stores. So there are plenty of people out there, I believe, that, you know, are stocked up. And so, you know, I just think that you need to check with your neighbors and your relatives and be sure everyone's set. And if they're not, we need to lend a helping hand.
Camaraderie, Jerry, I think is the key word here. We're seeing it already in many neighborhoods that were devastated, especially down in South Dade. And also, we'd like to mention those folks who are calling with a similar complaint. There are hospitals open. I know that Baptist Hospital is one of them, and I don't know if James Archer Scott, is it South and Perrine, is also open. I know that Baptist for a fact, and I don't want to send everybody
They're
to
all
Baptist,
calling for their personnel.
Right, but everyone is calling for. There you go.
A lot of them must be open.
And by the way, while we're here and talking about the hospital, I know that Baptist needs doctors desperately. If you can lend a hand, you should call them at 596-1960, extension 6292. Ileana Bravo was here about 2 or 3 hours ago telling me about the cases, and it is just so emotional to sit there and watch these. I mean, you've got elderly, you've got children. So if you are a professional, if you are a doctor, physician, if you can help one of these hospitals, be it Baptist, be it any hospital in South Dade that is now area, I'm sure they would appreciate it. Now, we are waiting for the governor to have his press conference. Jerry Helfman was able to talk to him as he got down from that chopper. Okay, I think we're going to check in to see if the governor is now ready. Jerry?
Yeah, the governor is about to start his press conference.
All right.
I think he's waiting for us.
All right, we'll hand it over to you then.
We're starting it over now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know how you describe what we saw in Homestead and Florida City. Devastation. You know, it's like an air bomb went off as far as seeing the damage that's in that area. It looks like downtown Miami, relatively, you know, from everything, the impact of the storm, it looks like came off very well. Miami Beach that way, but describe Florida City and Homestead a little bit.
Governor, I think I have been to every natural disaster in the state since 1979. I've never seen a situation where the damage was as extensive, as many people affected, and as severely as we just saw in Homestead.
Yeah, I think
you want to. Why don't we?
I think we are being rained out.
You think we are?
I think what we have to get here is a weather forecast.
We weren't planning on that rain.
No, we might, if we can't get back there for one reason, we will just break in, cut me off whenever you want to get back there. But let's take a look at the satellite picture just briefly, so you can see where the.
Hang on, we're getting the radar, so we'll see exactly where it is.
Okay. All right, we're going to get the radar up, but in the meantime, this is just an indication. Even though things are appreciably better, there are still showers around, still a lot of moisture in the air.
Is that part of the?
Well, this is the residue, you might say. There's still a lot of moisture left here, and you're going to get these showers, and you're also going to get some pretty good wind gusts now and then, even though it's on the west coast. I have here. In case you want to know, I have what is the latest. It remains that the hurricane watch for the northern Gulf Coast from Mobile, Alabama to Sabine Pass, Texas, and that's all up and down that area because they don't exactly know where it's going. And the center earlier was located at 25.7 and 83.1, about 85 miles south-southwest of Naples, Florida. I'm sure it's out more. And they've been getting some pretty good lashing on the west coast also, and they'll probably have some damage there too.
Well, if they're looking at any of the pictures that we've been showing, I hope that those folks
well, they'll be a little better over there.
Either evacuate if they're told to evacuate and take the measures that are necessary because this is a dangerous storm, very dangerous hurricane. We do have some video we'd like to show you. This is an area by the Falls Shopping Center, I believe. Is this Westgate? What is the name of this church? It is in South Dade. We're trying to get to the name of this church, but you can see it's totally devastated. Look at that.
This is what this is. One of the areas that was within that destructive range. It just tore the building apart.
Right, the Fall Shopping Center. There's the entrance to Bloomingdale's, and you can see how that's devastated.
At this. You see that? And this was
That's that
torn
Japanese,
apart also.
That's a Japanese steakhouse, I believe, that Samurai.
And I don't remember what this is. Remember the area, but anyway, take a look at what it's been doing. It's been tearing things apart, tearing the roof right over some houses. Look at this devastation. There's nothing left here. See? And the water just piling up. It's a miracle that some of these vehicles have been getting through the water without stalling out. And this is the picture that's been all over South Dade. And here's some of the centers where people have been waiting it out. And I'm sure a lot of these folks are going to have to be here long after the storm passes because there's no place to go when they get out of there. And that's why, right at this point, everyone is just waiting for the governor, the president, the insurance commissioner, and everyone else to try to put their lives back together again.
Right, I understand that the president is on his way. In fact, he's supposed to arrive at approximately 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He will also be in Opelika, so we will keep you tuned and let you know exactly what they have to say. Now, the president, he has not yet seen the area. Senator Graham has, Governor Childs has also seen the area, so I would imagine he may address us, and then he may probably want to get a first-hand look, take a first-hand look of the
I really believe this probably will be one of the fastest moving reconstructions that you've seen in a long, long time. I know a lot of areas, you know, people wait sometimes for months before they can get a check to do the house, and before they can get somebody to look at it, and before they get the insurance company to come look at it. But I think you're going to find, at least it's my gut feeling this time, that you're going to find one of the fastest acting things. Well, I really believe that, and I think it will come out that way.
Yeah. Now, we are standing by. We have not forgotten the governor and the senator. We're standing by trying to regroup because we got some showers that Bob says are part of this system. And Bruce, do we have them? Not yet. Okay, so we haven't left them. We're still there at Opelika. Jerry Helfman is still there at the airport in Opelika. I will try to bring that to you
let's see if we can
soon as we can.
They were trying to get the radar picture on Andrew. Let's see if we have that yet. Do we have that? Not yet?
Okay. By the way, Brian Norcross is back there trying to help us
yes,
out. A very hoarse
He's doing
Brian
one
Norcross.
thing. He's either on the air or he's back there
he's
trying
working,
to get
folks.
some graphics so that we can see what's going on. And right now he is working on getting us a good radar picture. But I can give you just something you might want to know in case you have interest on the West Coast. They probably will have storm surges of 5 to 8 feet on the West Coast. And to the south of the track of the hurricane, storm surges are decreasing along, this was earlier, of course, along other areas. Rain bands associated with the hurricane still causing some rainfall. All this now is moving out. As I speak to you, it was moving so rapidly that this probably, right at this point, is a little bit on the old side because it's gone now from that area. And right at this point, they have watches out all along the Gulf area, all the way down through Texas, because that's Trap City once a hurricane gets into that area. And it probably will get even stronger than it did before, if that's possible.
And we'd like to update this. President Bush is going to be touring the areas damaged by Hurricane Andrew. As a matter of fact, the presidential spokesman Marlon Fitzwater says Bush is leaving for Florida. Well, he's on his way. He'll be here in about a half hour. He has been in the Northeast today campaigning, so this is a change of schedule for him. Now, Bush president has authorized federal disaster assistance for Dade, Broward, and Monroe counties, and other areas may be designated later. So again, he will be viewing these areas. So those folks out there that are looking at these pictures and saying, my goodness, I wasn't aware. I knew it was a strong hurricane. I wasn't aware the amount of devastation. Well, you're not alone. Everyone from Washington is here, it seems, and everyone has the same opinion. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens in the next few minutes. And of course, we'll bring that to you live when we have it. You're pointing out something
Well,
to
this
me
was
here.
something here earlier, but this is about all Dade County public school, trades, and ground personnel, as well as zone mechanics, maintenance administrators, stores and distribution personnel, and garage maintenance personnel that are report to their respective maintenance satellites as as soon as possible, in case they missed it. So I guess they want to start to get back into readiness because sooner or later, in the next several days, things, at least in some areas, will try to get back to normal, while other areas still will be struggling to get back to normal.
I understand we're getting some phone calls, Bob, from viewers out there. They know about the boiling, the water, but how about, is it safe to shower now if you've got the water back operating?
Well, yeah, the shower won't bother you. I mean, sure, it's safe to shower. Just what we don't want you to, if you have a boil water area, you don't want to consume the water.
Right.
But as far as the shower goes, I guess you could take a shower without too many problems if you have to. You could also take some of that water and use it for other purposes, but do not use it to consume for any drinking or making coffee or anything like that.
Something else I wanted to ask you about, because when Brian Allen was sitting here, we were talking about the Florida Keys. We are also getting calls from residents and from folks who are now here that evacuated and want to know what kind of devastation, what kind of destruction was left.
Well, I think
by the hurricane.
We're going to see that a little bit later, because I understand we're going to have a helicopter view of that. They're still going to take a look at that a little bit later on. I think, however, that at least half of the Keys didn't get very much at all.
The lower Keys,
yeah,
right?
The lower Keys didn't get very much at all. Some of the upper Keys did get some damage, but I don't have any reports on that right now as far as how much. But again, I would estimate at this point it was not nearly what it was through some of the other sections.
You're looking at some aerials of the South Dade area. This is incredible footage. You can see the homes. I mean, this looks more like a tornado ripped these homes apart, Bob.
It just looks like an aerial bombardment.
Yeah,
is what it looks
war
like.
zone. I mean, we keep calling it a war zone, but that's the best way we can describe it,
And,
unfortunately.
It's something that we haven't seen in, what, 25, 30 years. And it's just unbelievable to look at. You say to yourself, is that here? Is that in South Florida? It doesn't look like it. It looks like we were talking about, someplace where they were having a war. And look at the monumental job that has to be done. All this has to be put back together again.
Wiped out in a matter of hours.
That's right. And again, I said before, whenever you get a hurricane coming around, I hate to hear people say, well, it's a bunch of wind and rain. Well, here it is,
well,
folks. There's a bunch of wind and rain. You can see what it does. And if it ever happens again, you know when we tell you to get out, to get out.
Now, we don't exactly know where this is in South Dade.
Well, it has to be within 20, 30-mile radius, stretching anywhere from, I guess, South Miami through the Homestead area. And that's about where the worst of it was. And so this is right in that section.
You know what? If we could see that video of some of the stores along Dixie as you're heading south, the Toys R Us and all those big, I mean, because you see some of these homes, but you also look at the businesses, and these are huge buildings, and they're just as demolished. So if we can cue that video up when we can show folks at home while we wait here and they look for that. Okay, they're trying to find it. They won't have it for a little bit.
But what we're really saying is this is something that no one could actually believe. The devastation is horrendous. And later on, we're going to get, I think, some more helicopter views of the area. And we will also have a lot of film reports on it.
Good.
So we're going to be able to see exactly just what's going on down there.
You know, Bruce Perlman, my producer upstairs, is telling me we keep getting a lot of phone calls about folks in the Keys. They want to know more about what's happening down there. We wish we had it. As soon as we have that information, we will bring it to you. I know that Brian Norcross, Brian Allen, Bob Weber, we are all trying to find information. As a matter of fact, if you're watching right now, please call us here at the station in Miami, 789-4200, 789-4200. If you are in the Florida Keys and you can share any information with us, we would appreciate it. Give us a call, 789-4200. We're trying to get estimates on damages and flooding and whatnot, and we will give it to you as soon as we have it. But if you're watching and you know something you can share,
a lot of the problem is, I imagine a lot of folks would like to call in, but I think in many areas the power is out. In many areas they can't call in. There may be here and there spotty sections where everything is still intact. I know I was driving yesterday, and you see all the lights were out all along the way, and then every so often you'd see some lights. All the stoplights were out, and then there was one stoplight that was working. So in some sections, there may have maintained electrical power. Last night they were saying something like I guess close to 1.5 million people were without power.
Yeah, earlier today we had a figure, it was almost 1 million folks, and that was Dade and Broward counties without power. And FPL is out there. I saw the work crews as I was heading in.
And they were saying,
the crews are out there.
Yeah, we had an interview last night with someone, and he was saying that it would be up to 8 days before they could restore all the power to all sections. So folks are going to have to be extremely patient. This is a tremendous job of putting the power back together again.
Something else, Key Biscayne is another area that I know we've been getting calls. I know I took a couple of phone calls from folks wondering about Key Biscayne and how
They
flooded
probably,
that was.
now I can't tell for sure because, you know, I didn't go, but I would estimate that they did get a considerable amount of damage there.
They also got the brunt of the,
well, they got,
the core of the eye?
They got a portion of it, but the brunt still was a little bit south of there, I would imagine. But they got enough of it to do quite a bit of damage. They just jut out into the water, and the water was coming in there at a pretty good clip, and the winds were ripping in there pretty good. So I think when all is said and done, they will have quite a bit of damage there also.
All right. Go ahead. We're trying to get some information. Okay, we're going to go live now to Dave Bloom in Cutler Ridge. Dave, can you... There he is. Hello, David.
Well, hello, Teresa, and this is certainly where the worst of the destruction is, here in Cutler Ridge in South Dade County. Behind me, you can see a Specs record store, which is completely demolished by this storm. Over here is a Holiday Inn that, as you guys have been saying, looks like it's been air bombed. That was Governor Child's words. Looks like a war zone. In fact, it is a war zone here. You've got the National Guard, some 1,000 troops here in South Florida. And they're here for a reason. Let me show you for just a moment, and I'll just wait to tell you what this is. It's a confrontation between a suspected looter and the National Guard.
Stop fighting. Stay down, man. Take a gun. Get the gun out of here. Get the gun away. Stay down. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, give me the gun.
What you're seeing here in South Florida, this particular stretch of Cutler Ridge, is people looting stores left and right, taking every advantage they can of this horrible destruction.
It's chaos. It's complete devastation. It's people in distress, looters. They assault our vehicles. They assault the police vehicles. They call us out to assist. Some families are in desperate need, but then we get there, we interrupt the scene, and it's just mass chaos. It's devastating.
No, come here. What are you doing?
Hey, it's everybody over there.
Yeah?
Everybody's looting, man.
Why are you looting?
Hey, I don't know.
Why are you having your son loot with you?
Isn't that my son?
Well, why would you have this little boy?
I ain't tell that boy to do nothing. He did it himself.
You think this is what you ought to do in a situation like this when hundreds of thousands of people might be, you know, their homes are devastated and you're looting?
Well, you want me to take it back?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I'll take it back.
That guy did take the looted goods that he took back, but unfortunately most of the people here are taking full advantage of this horrible situation where you've got people, you've got stores that have been destroyed, and instead of trying to help their fellow man, what they're doing is they're going in and they're stealing things left and right. Teresa, back to you.
Dave, I understand that there are about 600 National Guardsmen now in town, 900 more on the way. Do you think that's enough to handle?
Well, I guess the answer to your question is that it's enough for the limited. This is a shopping mall right here that we can show you. And what they've done is they've moved in here because this is where the first of the looting was taking place. But instead what they've done is the looters, that is, have just shifted to other locales. For example, this Payless Shoe Source store that you see over there, that's where that young man was in the confrontation with the National Guard. So if they get enough of their personnel here, yes, their mere presence keeps these people away. I might mention one thing that fellow reporter Kerry Sanders pointed out to me, and that is that in Hugo, when it hit Charleston, South Carolina, the National Guard came in without clips. That is, they were not armed. That's not the case here. These National Guardsmen and Guardswomen are armed.
All right. Thank you very much, Dave Bloom. Perhaps folks out there will listen and not take advantage of the situation and go out and loot. All right, now I understand that we're getting so many phone calls from folks in the Keys, and we don't want to flood our lines to the point where we can't help you. So if you are a public official and you can give us some information, then go ahead and call us. But the public, I'm going to ask you to please refrain from calling at this time, because apparently we are just bombarded with phone calls.
Again, I think we have to reiterate what Dave said. If you are even thinking about looting, the National Guard, they do have live ammunition, and I would just suggest to anyone who even harbors that thought to forget it. There are more National Guardsmen are on the way, and the entire section down there probably will be flooded with National Guardsmen. There'll probably be more after this group comes down.
Absolutely. You know, we said there were 12 people dead. We should say that 8 of those have died in Florida. 4 have been reported dead in the Bahamas. But that's the official count at this point. 12 people dead from Hurricane.
We don't know really exactly how or why right at this point either.
No. We only know one, Bob, and this was a gentleman, 46-year-old gentleman, who decided to spend the night in an abandoned truck that belonged to his brother. And apparently during the height of the storm, between 4 and 5 a.m., a large tree fell on the truck, crushing the victim. So we only know of that one case.
Well, again, we don't want a lot of cases around. Please, folks, again, I have to point it out. Don't go outside right away. Watch out for down power lines. Call Florida Power and Light. If you see a down power lines, don't let the children run around outside. It's just too dangerous still until those down lines are repaired.
All right, and talking about all these power lines, we just got this media advisory in our fax here. Dade County residents are being asked to remain off the road so that crews can begin the cleanup efforts. Now, this is of critical importance so that recovery efforts can begin as soon as possible. Dade County Public Works, Florida Power and Light, and Southern Bell crews have begun their restoration efforts. That is very good news. But again, they're asking for your help. Stay off the roads, and it's what, 4:52, so you've got 2 more hours to try to do what it is that you have to do. But if you don't really have to go out, I mean, stay indoors. It's dangerous out there. We really don't need to be out unless we have an emergency. We have to go to a hospital, God forbid. And again, it's your cooperation and your help that's going to get us back to where we were. So
a lot of you may be wondering, gee, when am I going to be able to get to the store to get a little bit of food, a little bit of water? We don't know who is open and who is not, but I do know that we had reports even before the storm that people like 7-Eleven, Publix, and some of the others said that as soon as they had power, they would open again to service whatever area they can. And so,
as a matter of fact,
thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Brian. Before we get to that, Bob, we're getting a lot of phone calls here. The Broward Emergency Operations Center says they're flooded with phone calls. People want to know everything about the boiling water, the flooding, when they can get back to their homes, when they can go buy some groceries. So we've got a couple of numbers that we have on the screen right now. Rumor hotline in Broward County is 357-8454. And for the hearing impaired, the number is 357-6158. Again, this is the Broward County Emergency Operations Center. Now, turn it over to you.
And now, Brian just told me that we do have a nice radar picture, so let's take a look at it. We're waiting for some later advice on all of this, but there it is. You are looking right now at still some showers right along the coastal sections. And that's why, remember, we had the governor out there and he got rained on.
He got rained on.
It's still wet here. Look at Palm Beach. Quite a lot of rainfall all the way down to Fort Lauderdale, through the Miami area, down through Flamingo. There's some showers around, a few showers around the Fort Myers area. I can't really see at this point the configuration of Andrew, but Andrew is there. And if we had the satellite picture now, can we look at that? Is that possible to take a look at the satellite? No,
No.
Okay. But anyway, that's grinding away out there with winds of 140 miles per hour. And right at this point, it is aiming anywhere from, let's say, from the Alabama area all the way down into sections of Texas. And the reason, as I said, you can't really pinpoint anything right now. It has to come around. It has to make the turn around the backside of the system. And when it does that, it's going to be pointing at an area that we know is going to be within that section. It just can't get out. That's like a little trap up there. Anytime we used to get them from the south that got trapped in there, you knew someone was going to get hit. Texas was hit many times, and Louisiana. This is another one of those, just happens to come from a different direction.
Bob, I understand that we now have Susan Wallace live in our newsroom. And Susan, I understand you have some updated information on insurance policies and claims?
Right, and if you're out and about in your yard picking up branches and trees or making some essential repairs, do us a favor and get inside, grab a pen, because we have some toll-free numbers for just about every insurance company we can think of. Stand by. We're going to get you numbers in just a second on most of the insurance companies that are handling claims and that will be handling claims out of South Florida. We got some information from Insurance Commissioner Tom Gallagher. He, of course, was on our air just a short time ago, but he's reiterating that he is suspecting that the amount of property damage caused by Hurricane Andrew will be similar to that which Hugo caused when it struck the Carolinas in 1989. My rough estimate is in excess of $2.7 million, and I imagine that's on the shy side, looking at the damage out of Southwest Dade. But the commissioner has set up a toll-free insurance hotline. Now let's go ahead and show that number on the screen. It is 1-800-528-7094. That's for any and all insurance-related questions. At that point, you can talk to people about, your particular situation, including numbers that you can also obtain for your insurance companies. That number again, 1-800-528-7094. That again is the toll-free insurance hotline set up in the state of Florida. Some recommendations coming from the insurance commissioner's office. Immediately call your agent. Report property damage and to the insurance company and your agent. Your agent should provide you with claim forms and arrange for an insurance adjuster to visit your property and take a look at the damage. Make emergency repairs and document them. The bottom line on that one is your policy probably requires that you make your own emergency repairs to prevent any further damage to your home or its contents. Keep all the receipts, take photographs of the damages before and after emergency repairs. So if you're about to start repairing, get your camera out and take some photographs, and that, of course, you can submit with your insurance claims. Take precautions if the damages require that you leave the house. This sounds so basic, but secure your property. Put something over your windows. Remove your valuable items. If you've got jewelry in the home, stick them in your purse or in a suitcase. Lock your windows and doors. Again, contact your agent. If you know where you're going, if you can leave a phone number with your insurance agent, all the better. And well, it says right here, it says take these precautions if you're required to evacuate before the storm. That's a non-issue at this hour. Beware of fly-by-night repair businesses. We watched what happened in South Carolina a couple of years ago during Hurricane Hugo. A lot of people, specifically elderly and the elderly poor, were absolutely taken during that storm. Let's not let that happen in South Florida. Now, we're going to roll some numbers for just about every insurance company we can think of. Here we go. Allstate tops the list. It's a toll-free number you can call Allstate Insurance. It is 1-800-767-9717. I'll give it to you again. It bears repeating if you are writing this down. 1-800-767-9717. Again, that's a toll-free hotline for Allstate Insurance Company. Let's move on to State Farm. It is 1-800-326-2431. Again, State Farm Insurance Hotline, 1-800-326-2431. Nationwide Insurance, 1-800-421-3535. Again, Nationwide Insurance, a 1-800 number, 421-3535. Progressive Insurance Hotline, 1-800-274-4499. Again, Progressive, 1-800-274-4499. Okay,
Susan, I'm going to have to interrupt you. We'll get back to you with the rest of these numbers in just a minute, but we have a live shot now. Sky 4, Rob Pierce, photographer Rob Pierce is in Sky 4 over Miami Beach. I understand they're getting ready to open the MacArthur Causeway, and folks are heading back, and boy, look at that.
Wow. Teresa, look at this. Certainly a huge traffic jam. As we work our way around and swing around, I can't show you all the way over to the beach, rather over to Miami, but there is a significant traffic jam here on Watson Island, the MacArthur Causeway. People obviously trying to get back. Needless to say, if you can avoid coming into this mess right now, do it. Let me pan over here and show you this other side here. You can see how literally backed up it is on all the bridges, including the Julia Tunnel, which we flew over just a couple minutes ago.
Rob, you were refueling. This is the first you've been able to see of the beach. You have yet to fly actually over some of the islands and see what kind of damage the hurricane has left.
We're working our way to Key Biscayne when we saw this, and we thought it was an impressive sight. We wanted to show it to you.
Impressive indeed.
You can just see how far back the traffic really is.
It doesn't seem to be moving at all.
No, and as I come back around here, forgive me as I pan over here, I'll show you that they're all just bottlenecking right here where the law enforcement officers have them all cordoned off, and they're not letting anybody back onto the beach yet.
Rob, do we have any idea whether or not they're going to perhaps open up both lanes so that everyone can go in and not just keep it to the one-way lane going in?
Teresa, at this point, we don't know this. We just saw this and noticed this. Maybe we can find out from the ground. We're going to work our way over to Key Biscayne and see what kind of damage is over there, because we haven't seen that yet. But if you can avoid this area at this time, please do. You know, wait for this to open up and wait for some of these cars to move out of the way.
Okay, we understand that it is supposed to be right about now, 5 o'clock, that is supposed to be open. But as you say, I mean, the gridlock there is so obvious. It's going to be a few hours before folks can get anywhere near the beach, unless they happen to be the first ones in line there. So we'll check back with you then, Rob. Thank you very much.
That looks impossible, doesn't it? But you notice something. When the evacuation orders came out, there was nothing like that. So it must have been a very smooth evacuation.
Yeah, there were folks still on the beach at a very late hour. I remember watching and seeing the folks.
All that going back, anyway.
Well, we want to go back, because Susan Wallace is still there. We'd like to get back to Susan and finish that list of insurance companies. Susan, are you still there? Great. I'm sorry for the interruption.
No, that's very important that you went out there. I can't imagine trying to get to the beach at this point. Let's pick up where we left off. Geico Insurance Company. Again, we're giving out 1-800 numbers that have been supplied to us from the Insurance Commissioner's Office in Tallahassee. So here's a toll-free number for Geico Insurance Company. It is 1-800-841-3000. That's, again, Geico Insurance, 1-800-841-3000. Let's move on to Aetna. Aetna Insurance Hotline, 1-800-238-6225. And Travelers Insurance. Again, Insurance Hotline, 1-800-842-6516. Move on to Independent Fire, 1-800-255-2475. Again, Independent Fire, 1-800-255-2475. We have the final number is for Liberty Mutual Insurance Company, a 1-800 number, 537-8676. One more time on that number, 1-800-537-8676. And I should say that we will be running these numbers periodically throughout the evening, so do us a favor and don't call the newsroom in case you missed your insurance company. We'll have it for you in a little bit. Yvette, do I have time to read some questions and answers that have come down from the Insurance Claims Office from Tallahassee? They're very basic questions. Typical questions according to the Insurance Commissioner's Office. Ready? A question is, floodwaters damaged the first floor of my house and wind tore off the roof. Will my insurer pay for the repairs of all the damage? Well, the answer to that is your homeowner's policy should cover the roof damage minus your deductible. Remember those deductibles. If you don't have specific flood insurance, however, you may be in trouble. Most homeowners' policies cover wind damage, not flood damage. That's why it is so important to read your policy, a little late for this, and ask a lot of questions before you purchase coverage.
Susan, while you give us this information, we're going to look at some video of actual destruction. Okay, so keep giving us the information. We're going to keep looking at this
Yeah, these are
unedited
the
footage
people.
here.
These people are going to need these numbers in a big way. The second question that they've sent down, typical question on insurance. The storm flooded my expensive landscaping and uprooted a tree, which then tore up my roof. Will my policy cover replacement of the plants in the tree? Well, the answer to that is because the tree has damaged an insured building, your insurer should pay to repair the roof and remove the tree in the process. However, most policies don't provide for damaged landscaping, including trees, to be hauled away and or replaced if the damage doesn't directly influence an insured structure. Next question. My agent says the claim check will be made out to me and to the bank that holds my mortgage. Why? It's a good question. The company figures that since the bank also owns your house, in effect, that it also has a claim on your insurance, and so the check often is made out to both parties. Your bank should be cooperative with you about getting the check cash because it has a vested interest in helping you get the money you need to repair the damage. Here's a question about a car. The storm blew out my car windshield. Is that a covered claim? Well, the answer to that is yes, absolutely, if your car is insured. And in Florida, the law says there is no deductible on claims for front auto windshields. I didn't know that. I'm learning a lot off of these.
We're all learning,
yeah,
Susan.
The bottom line is we're going to have these numbers for you periodically throughout the evening. If you missed your insurance company hotline, the 1-800 numbers that we're giving out,
I can give that number again real quick. I have that.
Oh, that's the hotline.
Right.
I'm talking about the individual ones for individual
We'll give that
claims.
to them again.
Great. Let me see. I lost it in my papers here.
Well, I'll give you the 800 number because I do have
Please
that.
do.
It's 1-800-528-7094. And as far
we have, as a matter of fact, if we want to locate take a look at the storm, look at the satellite picture. There you see Andrew, still 140 miles an hour. If you just hang on a few minutes, I can tell you where it's going and what its status is. But for us, though, if you look at one of those final feeder bands, and I think this will be the last one of any significance to come through, they're just across Broward County and down going just offshore. On the radar, you can see now you see on the satellite picture that little band of white clouds out there. There it is on the radar. You see coming down across Broward, maybe extreme northern Dade and going offshore. And as Andrew pulls away, it's going to pull that feeder band over us. So not that it's going to be real bad. It's going to be like good afternoon summer thunderstorms, which of course it can rain real hard, as we saw with the governor's news conference up there. So we still have that to go here this afternoon. Once that's over, and it should be over this evening, then our weather's going to be fine, and we're just may have a scattered shower, but the weather should be just fine, and we can get on with the recovery.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome you back. On behalf of a lot of viewers out there who've been calling and just saying, hey, you were the company, it was Channel 4 and all the folks here, and I know I was among those. I was cut off. I didn't have a phone. All I had was my portable little TV set. And when you said, a woman called in from South Miami, and she said, how much longer are we going to feel these pounding winds? And you said, another 15 minutes, you'll feel relief. And here I am looking, what's going, I hope so, God. And you were on the money, so. Well, it's great to be sitting next to you here.
Thank you very much. And I mean, I'm very pleased to be here. I'm grateful for the incredible staff here at Channel 4. I mean, well, we must say that we had a lot of luck in this situation because other television stations didn't fare as well, obviously, and you know, we happen to be at the northern fringe of the storm. We happen to be in downtown Miami, where we have a lot of buildings around us to keep us from getting pounded quite so badly. We have a wonderful old building that we're never ever going to see anything bad about again. And you know, we were very, very lucky to be able to be with you all through that whole time, in spite of the fact that we had a lot of preparation time, though, with the great people here at Channel 4. So,
that is true.
So we need to, I guess we need to really continue here. This is the hard part. This is really going to be the hard part, because in spite of the fact that last night was terrifying, it was short. It was one night. You know, this is going to go on now for weeks and weeks and weeks.
And months, perhaps.
And, well, it's going to go on for years, actually. As we said, Sunday, today is Monday, isn't it?
It is Monday, yes.
As we said Sunday, that the city will never be the same again. The city has been redefined by hurricanes in the past, notably the 1926 hurricane. And this hurricane will redefine the city again. And I hope that we change a lot of the rules here, so that the next hurricane, which it's still hurricane season, folks, and we can't rule out the possibility of another storm.
When does the season end? In November?
In November, but really we're from now until the third week of October is the peak by far. Most significant storms, not all, but most significant storms occur during that time. I'm not saying that we have anything on the horizon, but it is not uncommon in Miami and South Florida to have more than one hurricane in the same season. We've had many years with 3. So if anything happens out of all this, you know, we need to turn this into a city that people can live in spite of the fact that hurricanes come here. You know?
They happen, folks. It's a reality.
And you know, we knew that ahead of time, but there's nothing like learning it for real, and hopefully we've learned it out of this. But anyway, there'll be a lot of time for talk about that, about what we learned.
I want to ask you, though, something, because I'm just curious. Were you at all, was there a point where you said, my God, this is a monster? Was it perhaps, did it ever happen when you lost Dr. Bob Sheets, for example, when...
to be honest with you, all through the thing, thanks to the incredible work that's been done by Bob Sheets and his people down there, and the other people in the hurricane. I'll tell you what. Let's go to Rob Pierce, because we have a live picture of Key Biscayne. We've been waiting for this, and then I'll get back to that thought, because
it's the first time for all of us that we're going to see this.
Rob, are you with us?
Yeah, Brian. This is your eye in the sky. Look at this. A lot of damage out here.
Brian, can you make that out? Is that the what is that hotel? The pink one. The pink.
Is that the?
I can't remember.
Is it the Royal? Is that the Sonesta? Which one is the Royal?
Royal Biscayne? Is that the,
Royal? I hate to speculate. Yeah. You can see where the storm surges come in here. See where the sand is washed up, and this was the big question. We don't, as far as I know, have any good reading yet on how much storm surge we had. We're looking from the Atlantic, looking back west. Rob, is that right?
That's right. We're looking back west here. And you can just see there's a lot of debris over. Let me show you the water here. This is a pretty awesome sight on the water. Look at this, the debris and the stuff that has floated in.
Right.
And as I lean out a little bit here and shoot down towards the lighthouse, look at this, no trees left.
Oh, that's the Bill Baggs State Forest. Right. We're very reminiscent there of the forest, the Francis Marion National Forest north of Charleston. We've lost, he's coming back. Yeah, that looks like, I don't know if that's your signal or a cable up there, Rob. All right, well, we'll get back to him. You're going to have to forgive me if I ask you some questions, because I did, okay,
he's back.
We hope we have Rob back.
We have Rob back.
We're trying.
Bear with us, folks.
We're moving around here, Brian, so bear with us on our signal.
All right. If I ask you some questions that you have already answered, have we been in contact with people on Key Biscayne
This
yet?
is the first, from my understanding, that we actually even see Key Biscayne.
I know that this is the first
Yvette, is that a fact?
This is the first time we've seen Key Biscayne, but have we been in contact with anyone out there? Do we know if we've had loss of life out there in any of these homes? Because I don't see any people anywhere.
No, it's pretty much deserted. Look at the boat here that's obviously taken on water. Hard for me to tell. I'm looking in a black and white viewfinder, so it's hard to tell if some of these houses have lost their roofing.
All right, what the word is that we may have passed this along, but that nobody is going to be allowed on Key Biscayne for 2 days, and I would speculate at least 2 days. What concerns me is I don't see anybody there.
No, it's deserted.
And a few weeks ago, excuse me for my voice, a few weeks ago I was out there, it's actually been maybe a little over a month ago, as part of our hurricane special, and asked people, where are you going to go? And most people told me that they were going to stay. And now maybe we frightened them into leaving after all.
I'll tell you, from the looks of this, I hope so.
But I'll tell you what I just wonder about is that we did not see a big traffic jam coming off the Key. And so I just wonder how many people stayed, but clearly we don't see anybody.
Even the large homes, look at that, and you can see the damage on the roof there.
Well, yeah, that may be superficial damage, though, because most...
Here's a little boat activity, obviously, so somebody's working their way back in there.
Assessing,
right.
Yeah.
Here's a boat that obviously has taken on too much water and has been lost.
I would, Rob, to try and keep your eye peeled for anyone over there. I think we might be able to do a wonderful service. I don't know if there's any space that you could land, but if you see someone, I don't know that we've had any contact out there to know what the real situation is in terms of human life.
Yeah, we're looking here. I'm actually not even looking through the camera anymore because I'm trying to get a better view with my naked eye.
Well, we're looking too, and I haven't seen one person move.
We haven't seen a single individual there. Now, Brian, are you surprised? Because there is a lot of damage there, but is it what you thought it would be, being on the Key? And
actually, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. You see a lot of structure damage, or rather roofing damage. I expected to see more buildings actually down.
Well, I think we're only going to see the buildings down right along the coast, Rob, because we build houses really strongly here. clearly that those houses have been inundated down there, because you can see the water, and that water is the ocean that has come and crossed the key, or at least come well into the key, whether it all actually went across or not. And when we get down on the ground and get close up, you're going to see massive damage to those buildings.
As you can see, a lot of flooding over here. Look at the street.
Right. What that is that's not heavy rain, and you can see the sand, see all the dirt up in there.
You're absolutely right.
That's the ocean that has come in there in this storm surge that came across there. You can see the incredible damage.
How many feet would you estimate at this point by looking at some of this?
Well,
as far as the surge?
It seems to me that we have evidently didn't have quite as large a surge over the whole breadth of,
Brian, look at this. Look at this. A boat in the pool.
Ooh.
Well, there's a classic shot, Rob. Roll your tape on that, folks.
Yeah.
We're going to be seeing that for years to come.
You never know. The owners might be seeing it right now for the very first time.
Classic picture there. We don't know yet. It's going to take considerable assessment to figure out how much happened, because, as we talked about all night last night, the main surge was going to be at one point, and then it was going to fall off after that. And we think that the core of the storm came in a little below Key Biscayne, so we don't think that they got the worst of it.
They lost some of their screen patio in the back.
Again, as we look down on houses, we're looking at the good part of it. You know, as the water came in, the water would have gone through many of these houses, and I suspect if we could actually see windows, we would see that there are no windows.
By the way,
in most
Brian,
of those homes.
just to remind folks out there, the president is on his way. We imagine he will be arriving in the next 10, 15 minutes. He's arriving at Opelika Airport, and we will go live as soon as he arrives.
Actually, I thought there was more damage over towards the eastern side there, as I guess you would expect.
Well, that's where the ocean side, you're looking...
You're talking about along the ocean side, Rob?
Yeah, we're looking back towards the east, the southeast now.
How about the high-rises?
Let's swing around there and see if we can get a shot of that. Bear with us on our signal here.
I saw the one there was wonderfully shuttered. Look at that one. Not every apartment was shuttered. Some people not doing the right thing there, and what you're going to find, I'm sure, is that there's going to be significant damage in those unshuttered apartments.
Ooh, look at that.
Here we go. Here we got some good flooding like this.
Now, you're going to have to orient us again here, Rob. You're at the west, looking east. Is that right now?
Yeah, we are looking toward the east right now. This is the easterly view.
That's a construction site over that you just passed at the top half of the screen, right side.
That's the
There you go.
Right.
Right. I'm familiar. I used to live there. I lived there for a few months. We're losing.
See, we see lots of cars, but I still see no people, and I can't believe that those cars were there. And
you gotta wonder where this driver is.
Exactly. Although
is that the main intersection there as you enter the key, Brian? Or?
No, I think we're still well into the key. We're still well into the key there. You know, of course, we don't know that car was there when the driver left it.
Right.
But it is amazing to me. How is the causeway, Rob? Do we know?
I'm sorry, I lost you there. We are 2 blocks east of the Siesta Hotel. Sonesta Hotel.
The Sonesta Beach Hotel.
Right. As you were heading out that way, what was the traffic like? Brian was trying to find out.
Actually, we came more over the water. We really didn't get a look at the causeway, so we can't tell you. But look at this. Look at the water out here.
That's debris in the water, Rob, you said?
Yeah, I mean, I assume it's sediment that's been turned up.
That is incredible.
Brian, you can probably better tell.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know what all that is. I suspect what it is as the storm surge came in and washed over the key, then essentially retreated, it dragged a lot of the debris and whatnot from Key Biscayne backward.
Here we go. We got somebody here. Look at this.
Yeah, is he waving at us?
He's waving at us.
Yeah. This is the...
I'm gonna go in here. Bear with me here.
Sonesta, right? This is a Sonesta that we're looking at.
I can't help you. I'm just not familiar with...
This is a Sonesta. He's not alone.
There's a couple
they're all waving. There's a couple waving.
They must have I don't know if they have electricity over here, whether they have a television or not.
Those curtains are open. Let
There's
the breeze
some other
in.
people, it looks like, in the upper left.
Look at this. If we can get a quick view as we move over here, a lot of damage.
Yeah, that is a Sonesta Beach Hotel. Near the tennis courts, what's left of the tennis courts. More tennis courts.
Well, this is this?
Ooh.
No, this is still the hotels. This is not the Lipton area.
No. The tennis courts that belong to the hotels.
Well, that was some cabana thing.
So we had our Christmas party.
Yeah, right.
The station's Christmas party.
Rob, could we look back toward the causeway? I'm wondering if there is access to the key at all at this point.
Okay, we're gaining altitude here. See if we can get you a shot of the causeway, sort of behind us here. Let's see here. It's a good distance off, so I really
okay,
can't tell you.
We'll just worry about that. I'm just wondering if at any point the causeway was broken, or if because obviously there are no emergency vehicles. I just am amazed.
We'll check that out as we work our way back in.
Okay, I'm just amazed at the lack of people that we see. I mean, clearly those people are fine in that hotel, but other than that,
I assume that that's a good sign, right, Brian? That these people got off, right?
I guess, but I just don't believe that many people were evacuated from Key Biscayne. As you said, Rob, the person that was driving that BMW that was in the middle of the intersection, I can't imagine that someone would leave their BMW in Key Biscayne and take themselves off. Yeah, I just can't imagine that. So we're going to have to, there's another car there.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't conceive of how that could be. So
that looks like substantial flooding there in that area,
right.
which is
well,
the residential side of the island.
I suspect that we had the storm surge completely cover the key. Again, not surprising at all.
Look at that.
I tell you what, Brian, this is a very eerie feeling. Look at this, like someone walking down the street.
There is someone. There is someone in the middle of the street. That guy looks stunned, as best we can tell there. Rob, we need to sign off with you because we need to set up for the president's arrival. And if you would even call in just to let us know what the status is of the causeway, if we can't go back to you live, we'd appreciate that.
Will do, Brian.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. This is the first time that we're seeing these pictures. I don't know if you got to see some of the area. They were down in South Bay.
Oh, I saw that. I've actually been awake here for a while trying to get the storm center set up because we lost part of our weather equipment, and we have backup weather equipment, so we're operating on that. So we have all the information and everything that we would normally have. It's just coming in by a little different route.
Matter of fact, there's something we want to show you. Photographer Larry Morales was out with a Homestead resident as this person went back and surveyed her home for the very first time. So we're going to look at that report now.
This is homestead damage. All right, this is South Dade is all we know. Bruce, can you be a little more specific?
This is Kendall.
This is the Kendall area. All right, unfortunately, do we have any idea whether we're looking at West Kendall or where we are here? Okay, we don't know at this point where we are. As the storm came in last night, of course, we talked about where that core of most intense winds was, and to the best of our understanding at the time, it was a diagonal where it went from, if you would do...
This is photographer Joe Harzinski's house.
All right, so you're at...
I heard you on the phone last night.
107th Avenue out by Miami-Dade South, right? So this is the area in southwest Dade County, southwest 107th Avenue and Killian Parkway area, between Kendall Drive and Killian Parkway. Was anyone injured out there, Joe? Nobody was hurt, but just massive tree damage in the trees did most of the damage to the homes, would you say? Yeah. And shingles coming off the roofs like that. Yeah, Joe says he needs a new roof. I imagine a lot of people will.
They're on top of the surface.
The shed?
The shed is gone.
Airborne.
What's going on out there now, Joe? I mean, are people out trying to assess their situation? Is that pretty much it? A lot of the roads, Joe Harzinski says are still blocked. Yeah, we can see some of these huge ficus trees. Ficus trees, folks, this may teach us a lesson about ficus trees, because ficus trees are never designed to exist the way we trim them. They're made by nature to have these big, long roots to hold themselves up, and we don't trim them that way. We treat them like mushrooms. Pool screenings and screen closures, of course, are going to be gone. Yeah, the other thing is a lot of people let their trees get out of hand. Let's hope that we
Well, you use it for shade down here. It gets to the point that sometimes, you know, it's a nice shady tree, and you figure, let's not cut it back.
But you're better off with more trees that are grown and small, and and big trees.
Which room is this, Joe?
That's somebody's house.
Oh, this is somebody
again in
else's.
the neighborhood.
Okay.
Again, to locate you here, we're right by Miami-Dade South in Southwest Kendall, Southwest 107th Avenue, between Killian Parkway and Kendall Drive. So that'd be between 112th, Southwest 112th Street and Southwest 88th Street.
So we were still getting some gusty winds here at 8 o'clock in the morning when this was shot.
Yeah,
amazing.
I had to run home because it was getting really out of hand, and I was real far from my house.
All right,
Okay.
Joe was saying
Joe,
that he was still in about 8 o'clock this morning. You shot this, and it was still quite gusty out there. All right, Joe, thank you, and we'll get back to that again.
Now we have that Larry Morales
Now we have the Homestead
video.
pictures.
The Homestead. This is a Homestead lady who is going back to see the damages to her home. The very first time she sees her home.
All right, Larry, let's see what this is.
It was the worst experience I have ever experienced in my life.
What happened?
Rain is fucking open. Hey, right here?
What was here?
This patio.
My son and I stayed here. I wouldn't do it again. And now if I knew a hurricane was going to be this bad.
Put things back together.
May take some time,
Yeah, it'll definitely take some time.
but you'll live through it.
Yeah. We'll look through it.
Just as long as you wake up and everybody's
This was my bedroom.
What is it now?
Well, I don't know what you would call it, but I don't want any part of it. I've seen all of it. I need to see. That's where we stay. We put a mattress up on that end and the sofa and chair on this end. So we were protected because the windows and awnings were gone and the windows were coming in every direction. This is the sofa bed. We just opened it up and set it across here so that, because the ceiling was coming down here.
The family room?
Yes. Where am I going to sleep, honey? I don't know. Beds are all attached. This was my nice, clean pool. Look out, dogs. Get down. But this was my screen porch. And that was my shed over there. And there was another one in this corner underneath the sapodella tree. And our big coconut tree, he had taken the coconuts off it the day before. 83 coconuts dropped off that tree so they wouldn't hit anybody's windows. But we got a few of them. So now the work begins.
I guess we have to move.
You think we have to move, honey? Where would we move to? What do you think about Grandma's house now, honey? You still want to come back to Grandma's house? Not this one. This is it. Honey, that's the only one we got now. So we'll get it fixed up again. It won't ever be the same, but that's the way life is.
All right, we're back.
Amazing stuff.
That was in Homestead. Obviously, people for the first time seeing what's happened to their home there.
Have you haven't been able to go out?
No, I haven't. Although I did check in with my house, and there was a little damage to the roof, some shingles, and I would imagine that most homes in Dade County, at least, have some shingle damage, and some trees are down in the neighborhood. I live in Coconut Grove, but other than that, the house seems to be fine, and it's a matter of a minor cleanup. We were very, very fortunate there. The Hurricane Center there on Dixie Highway seems to have been, if you want, I started this discussion from Key Biscayne, from just below Key Biscayne, draw a line over to the Hurricane Center and University of Miami and Coral Gables, and then diagonally down to Kendall. We saw it happen here last night. As that was where that core of the storm rotated through, and also all the way down through the extent of southern Dade County. But not that there isn't massive damage north of that, but that was where the real core of the storm came through, and the conditions exceeded the building codes down there. So that's why, as we told you, as it was happening last night, that we expected we expected massive devastation in that area.
And we're seeing a lot of that, unfortunately, today. I was just handed this by Jerry Fisher, who is already here today. She doesn't know if anyone has called in about ice, but she did see some people lined up for ice at the Royal Palm Ice Company, and that's located on South Dixie Highway and 37th Avenue. So for those folks who may be wondering where they can get some ice, we're told that there was a line at the Royal Palm Ice Company, 37th Avenue and Dixie Highway.
Well, this might be a reporting for folks that did what we asked them to do last night, and then it was turn the refrigerators all the way to the maximum setting. Clearly, you can actually keep that food in there okay if you'll stay out of the refrigerator. Don't go in to get something in that refrigerator until you absolutely have to. I would, at this point, be eating my canned food. And then when you get to the point that if the power does not come back on, then start eating the food in the refrigerator, because it's going to, at that point you have to, because it's going to go bad. Yeah. So if you do it the other way around, you're going to open the refrigerator unnecessarily. Right. So ideally you want to keep that refrigerator closed at the absolute, and maybe even take some tape and put it around there.
So that the kids don't open it up or something.
And keep the cold in as long as you can to preserve what you have in there, and also that will preserve whatever ice you need. Although
I made ice.
I
was so desperate. I made ice. I got my pots and pans and whatever plastic containers I had, filled them with water.
Well, that's going to help you, right?
Yeah.
What you're going to have to do is, don't just decide, okay, I'm going to have some water to drink. I'm going to have ice in it. In other words, don't open
Joe, you can bring that in. Brian's going to have his apple juice for his
thank you. You're a lifesaver.
Vocal cords here. And
I had thank you to, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the speech pathologist that called this morning to tell me how to deal with my voice, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Now, we want to remind you that we are awaiting President Bush's arrival at the airport in Opa-locka, and Jerry Helfman is standing by there. We will go live as soon as the president arrives. Earlier, she was able to interview Senator Bob Graham, and she was able to talk to Governor Lawton Chiles. They are both just they're dumbfounded.
Shocked,
when they looked at all the devastation. They went up on a chopper and they were able to see it firsthand.
I'm interested when we can get Jerry. I was working in the Storm Center, but I heard Jerry ask the governor if we had enough National Guard here. I don't think that anyone that I've seen we've had on would say, yes, we have enough National Guard here.
I asked Dave, too. I don't know if you
Right. I mean, it seems to me, and I asked the governor last night, are you sure that however many battalions or whatever it was in Orlando is enough for this? And I thought that his answer was, yes, we think we have enough at this point, but I want to confirm that with Jerry Helfman.
Jerry, can Jerry Helfman hear us at this point?
Is she available to?
Okay,
we're still working to get our signal in from Opa-locka, but
we'll ask for that
we need to pin that down. If the officialdom here thinks that we have enough National Guard presence on the streets, judging by what we saw from David Bloom in South Dade. And I didn't get the exact location. Was he along Dixie Highway? In Kendall?
Brian, I've given so many addresses at this point, I don't know exactly.
Okay, yes,
how about if Yvette or Bruce can...
Yes, he was along South Dixie Highway. It looked like to me he was near the Sunnyland area, or maybe even a little further south than that. I knew he was one of the shopping centers. I thought I recognized it.
No.
Oh, down by the Cutler Ridge Mall. Oh, that far south. I didn't realize
that far south.
Well, in any case, clearly we need more National Guard presence or some sort of police presence just to maintain order down in that area while other people help with the recovery. So I think we need to get the point made to the governor or whoever is responsible here that we have to get more help for those people down there than we're getting.
By the way, as far as the numbers go, there are 600 National Guardsmen in town now. 900 more are on their way.
Well, that's going to be a big help.
But
off the top of my head, 1,500 people spread out 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
I just wonder how many people we can, or even if you're doing 12-hour shifts over a city as large as this, I wonder if that's going to be enough people. And I would.
Okay, we have a caller on the line, Brian. Is this Mandy or Randy from Cutler Ridge?
Mandy.
I'm sorry. Hi, how are you today?
I'm okay.
Yeah. What can you tell us, Mandy?
In Cutler Ridge, they asked earlier for reports from Cutler Ridge. In Cutler Ridge, it was really devastated. At the end of the hurricane, a twister came through, especially through Whispering Pines. My boyfriend was down there during the storm. He came back up here. He told us about it. He's back down there now, so he can't answer any questions. I just know that he said there was a twister that came through. That's where a lot of the damage came from. It wasn't so bad, but the windows are all gone. Everything's gone now. It's mostly because of the twister.
Mandy,
in our neighborhood.
Mandy, it's Brian Norcross. Can you pinpoint where Whispering Pines is for us, please?
Well, the Cutler Ridge Mall is about 3 miles away from it. You know where Caribbean Boulevard,
Right.
US 1 is where Cutler Ridge Mall. Wishing Pines is down at the other end of Caribbean Boulevard.
East of Caribbean Boulevard
Yes.
toward the bay?
Towards Old Cutler Road.
Okay, on the, yes, okay, I know exactly where you're talking about. And how many times last night did we talk about Caribbean Boulevard?
Many times, Brian. I know we went over it.
So many times, over and over again. Mandy, have you been around to contact the people in your neighborhood there?
No, my boyfriend came up here. I'm in North Miami. We waited out the storm here.
Uh-huh.
He waited at the house. They were in it when it all happened. He came up here and he told us not to come back down there. We were going to come back down there today.